The mistake did not begin the night the police car stopped in front of the house. It began years earlier, on the days questions were ignored, conversations postponed, and warning signs explained away as normal teenage behavior. By the time fear finally arrived, it had already been invited in and given permission to stay. Aisha Daniels was 15 when people began saying she was old enough to know better. Her parents repeated it often. They were busy people, successful, respected, always in a hurry. To them, providing meant school fees paid, clothes bought, and a roof overhead. Supervision felt unnecessary. After all, Aisha was a girl, quiet, obedient, and rarely complained. No one noticed that obedience can be learned from fear and silence. As Aisha grew older, her body changed faster than her understanding. Her questions went unanswered, her curiosities explored elsewhere. When she lingered on her phone late at night, no one checked. When her moods shifted, it was called teenage drama. When new friends appeared suddenly, no one asked where they came from. Freedom arrived without guidance. Her mother believed strictness would ruin their relationship. Her father believed trust meant not interfering. Between both beliefs, Aisha was left to raise herself. Outside the home, attention came easily. Compliments sounded like care. Invitations felt like validation. Slowly, boundaries blurred. Places her parents never knew about became familiar. Faces they would never approve of became trusted. One Friday evening, Aisha asked to visit a friend. No questions followed. No calls were made. By midnight, the house was quiet and unconcerned. Among Aisha's circle were a few older girls from her neighborhood and church school, confident, admired, and always surrounded by attention. They spoke boldly about freedom and experience, often mocking rules and parents they said were outdated. To Aisha, they seemed worldly and fearless. She wanted their approval. One evening, while they gathered casually, the conversation shifted. "So, have you ever had a crush before?" one of the older girls asked casually, her tone light but probing. Aisha shrugged, unsure of what to say. "On a boy?" another pressed, smiling knowingly. Then came the follow-up that tightened Aisha's chest. "Or on a girl?" The group laughed softly, watching her closely. Aisha's discomfort was immediate. She shook her head quickly. "No, I haven't." They exchanged glances. "It's normal," one of them said. "You just haven't explored yourself yet." The questions continued, subtle but persistent. Had she ever kissed anyone? Had she ever been curious? Each question felt less like conversation and more like pressure. Aisha laughed nervously, hoping it would end there. It didn't. One of the friends drew closer than necessary, lowering her voice and telling Aisha not to overthink it, that it was just a harmless experience, something everyone tries at least once. Before Aisha could properly respond, the boundary she didn't know how to defend was crossed. The moment was brief, but the feeling was immediate and wrong. Aisha pulled back quickly, confusion flooding her face. Her heart raced, not with excitement, but with unease. Nothing about it felt natural or comforting to her. Instead, it left her unsettled, embarrassed, and strangely violated. The others laughed it off. "You're just shy," one said. "You'll get used to it," another added. But Aisha didn't feel curious. She felt disturbed. That night, alone in her room, the weight of what had happened settled heavily on her chest. She replayed the moment over and over, trying to understand why she felt so uncomfortable, so wronged, yet unsure how to explain it. She told no one. At home, her parents noticed nothing.
They didn't see the withdrawal. They didn't hear the silence growing louder. They didn't ask the questions that could have opened the door. And so Aisha carried the confusion alone until other boundaries began to fall, one after another, leading her closer to danger than anyone realized. That night did not end in tragedy, but it came close enough to change everything. Panic followed confusion, fear replaced excitement, and the realization came too late. Ignorance had not protected her, it had exposed her. When she returned home shaken and withdrawn, her parents still failed to notice. Life continued as usual. The alarm finally rang when an outsider noticed what the parents had missed. Teachers expressed concern, neighbors whispered, patterns emerged, lies collapsed, the illusion of control shattered. The confrontation was not gentle. Tears filled the living room as truths surfaced about where Aisha had been, who she had encountered, and how alone she had felt navigating adulthood without a guide. Her parents listened in stunned silence, hearing for the first time the cost of their absence. They had loved her, but they had not parented her enough. Repair was slow. Trust had to be rebuilt. Rules had to be introduced, not as punishment, but as protection. Conversations replaced assumptions. Presence replaced neglect. Aisha healed, not because damage never happened, but because it stopped before it became irreversible. And this is the warning this story carries. Children do not fall into danger suddenly. They drift there quietly, step by step, while adults look away. Girls do not figure it out on their own safely without guidance. Silence does not mean innocence. Privacy without supervision is exposure, not trust. Parents, being busy is understandable. Being absent is not. If you do not talk to your child, someone else will. If you do not teach boundaries, the world will erase them. If you do not notice the changes, danger will. Parenting is not only about provision, it is about attention, about involvement, about uncomfortable conversations before irreversible consequences. Because by the time fear knocks loudly on your door, it may already be too late to undo the damage. Watch your children, listen to them, guide them. Love must be active, or it becomes neglect dressed as good intention. Thank you for listening. Please hit the subscribe button if you have not. Comment, share, and like for more educating and interesting stories. Thank you. Bye.